Several video clips have been used in this production to help illustrate the message I'm trying to share. I'm in no way claiming these videos to be my own and give full credit to the creator.
And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw unto the altar the souls of them that were slain for God, and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying,
How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood, O them that dwell on the earth?
And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them, that they should rest, yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also, and their brethren, that should be killed as they were, should be fulfilled. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal. And lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll, when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks,
Fall on us, and hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
Okay, welcome back, brothers and sisters, and all those who've been studying with me in the Word of God. Right now, we're going to talk about chapter 6, verse 12, and this one that you always hear, like Hollywood got it, they speak up when the sun turned black and the moon turned red, and all these little devil people are going to come, and the world probably begin, they probably looking for Satan kid. You kind of see all that in Hollywood. But you know what? I'm giving you my understanding of this, because it was a time in life that the prophecy used to read the stars, all these ones that can tell the future, tell the prophecy, they used to look up at the stars, and they used to read the stars. And this story right here is sort of like a star reading thing, that a prophecy that represent the stars. Now, I'm gonna set the dog down for a minute, and like I just said, it goes to Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. It's talking about the sun would turn black like cloth, the moon would turn red like blood, and the stars would fall from the tree, would fall from the sky like a strong wind hit a tree. And it said every mountain would be moved from its place. Now, you got to kind of understand what it's saying here. The prophet that wrote this right here, he kind of put this as like in a family. In the family, he got it like the father represents the son. That means that in most families now, there'll be no more father. You know what I'm saying? Then it said the moon represents the mother. The mother will have hate for their father. You know what I'm saying? And the stars represent the kids. That means the kids gonna be out of control, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't have that foundation no more. Then it goes talking about every mountain will be moved from its place. That means that the heart of the family, use how father you take father you would take the family to the church to put the fear of God in everyone. Therefore, that is no more. We're living in a time that is not happening no more. The kids do not have that foundation, that church foundation in them, and every mountain will be moved from its place. And that's sort of like what it's saying. It spoke of the end of time. All this is going to take place. In most households, there'll be no father. The mother have hate. The kids be out of control. And that's all they're speaking of right there. But like I just said, once again, I'm thinking out loud. Now,
My parents divorced when I was
My parents divorced when I was 10.
When I was 12.
So I'm 6.
I was 9, 10 years old.
My parents divorced when I was 2.
I was in lower primary.
My sisters and I live with my mom. It is what it is. It's fine living with my mom.
I have 2 sisters. I'm the youngest. I think at the point of time, it wasn't like a good relationship with my dad, so we went with our mom.
After I turned about 9 or 10, my mom decided to drop the custody for both me and my brother, and my dad had full custody of us.
After the divorce, my mom got custody of me, and I have a sister, so my dad got custody of her. Then as dynamics shifted, I moved over to my dad, and then my sister went to stay on her own.
My mom and my stepdad are now in China. My dad remarried, so I stay with my stepmom as well. But now they have moved to China to work, and I live alone.
So my father got me and my brother. My sister went with my mom. It was the most rational choice. Although I think that at that point in time, I would have preferred to go with my mom as well.
My biggest challenge after my parents' divorce was
Adjusting to my parents' different behaviors.
Fatherly love.
Pleasing both sides,
Staying neutral between both parties.
managing my parents' emotions.
My grades in school.
When I go home when I was young, I don't get to see my dad. I don't get to say, Pa, I'm home and stuff. And back in school, you ask your friends like, oh, so how are you going home? And they would be like, oh, my dad is fetching. Then you'll be like, just stand at one corner and just swallow it in.
The hard part was pleasing both sides, spending time with different parents at one time instead of spending time together as a family.
Where do I start? Immediately after the divorce, it was more about the competition between them in terms of like my mom would think my dad's living a really good life, then my dad would think my mom's living a really good life, and I'll just be there like, ooh, the chill guy is like.
Yeah, I completely agree with the constant competition.
And we have to warn you here, what you're about to see is very graphic.
Oh, but this horrible crime never went before a judge or a jury, and we believe it is important for you to hear the truth about what really happened inside that house between those twins and their mother. Katie?
Well, DeMarco, through open records requests, 11 Alive has obtained critical evidence that never made it into a courtroom. Crime scene photos, interrogation tapes, surveillance video, and finally the twins' taped confessions. These puzzle pieces show the twins as they spin a web of denials and what investigators used to unravel it. Identical twins share everything. Birthdays, clothing, even DNA. But Jasmia and Tasmia Whitehead also share a dark past. These twins admitted to murdering their mother, a confession that came after 4 months of lying to cover it up.
Twin girls had come home and found their mother deceased.
At first glance, these two sweet 16-year-old girls had just discovered a gruesome scene.
It was the bloodiest scene I think I've ever been to.
January 13th, 2010, one of the girls flags down a passing police car. Inside their home, Conyers police find their mother dead after a brutal attack, submerged in a bathtub.
As soon as you opened the door, you could smell the blood, like the copper iron smell.
The girls, known as Taz and Jazz, are described as visibly distraught and taken into the care of Conyers police.
You come over here, sweetheart. Come sit over here.
Until now, these tapes have never been seen by the public.
Jazz, like, screaming or say something. I looked that way, and all I saw was, like, blood all over the floor.
We were treating them as, victims, witnesses that came home, found their mother, dead.
Remember, these girls admit it. This is all an act.
She's not gonna come back.
Several times, Jazz asked for her mother.
Mommy. Mama.
A mother that she, along with her sister, murdered.
You gotta be strong, Jay. You got to. Because I'm gonna make sure they find the person that did it.
The people who did it are in this room, lying to police.
There is a little red thingy that sit up on like one of the tables. I didn't see it.
There's a vase, a big giant red vase. That had been used to strike their mother.
More lies, some laced with truth.
There was like blood in front of the door, and there was like a line of blood, like somebody dragged her in there. Because I thought, how the lines out on TV?
That's true. Nikki Whitehead's lifeless body was dragged to the bathtub.
And there were drag marks that went from the living room into the master bedroom into the master bathroom.
Listen as Jazz actually admits to touching her mother's dead body.
I went to her room, and I seen the blood all in there on the floor. And I went in there and I seen her and I touched her.
Later, police would learn she not only touched her, she cut her, bit her, and along with her sister, nearly severed her mother's spinal cord.
That night, we started to have suspicions. There's just something didn't add up. Something didn't seem right.
You didn't see her at all this morning when you left to go to school?
Because she locked her door, because she got a lock that you have to have a key to. And she locked her door at night.
More answers brought more questions.
What time did y'all leave the house?
We missed the bus, so we had to walk.
You walked all the way to Rockdale?
It's not far.
But this surveillance tape shows the girls walk to a gas station and hitchhike to school with a stranger.
Is that the clothes you wore to school today?
And arrive there 2 hours late, as seen here on this school surveillance camera.
Made all your classes today?
Yes.
By now, police are getting suspicious.
Hey girls, we're going to have to get you guys clothes, and I'll tell you why. You were in the crime scene.
The girls had had a history of domestic troubles with their mother for years. It's evident by this handwritten letter recovered by police at the scene. It was sent from Jazz to her boyfriend. She says, "I just hate living here, being with her."
Tell me you hate her and stuff. When she was dead, and she really did die. I told her that plenty of times, but she never died.
Presumably to hide their injuries, both girls wear gloves indoors, but police quickly noticed and asked that they be taken off.
I need to see your hands and your arms. What happened here?
I got into a fight.
Did you get in a fight with her?
She points to her sister, but the fight was actually with her mother.
They both had what could have been bite marks or scratch marks on their hands. Taz had a bite mark on her left arm.
Detectives decide it's time to separate the girls.
All right. Taz, I want you to come out here and sit with them for a minute. I want to talk to your sister.
Why y'all gonna separate us?
Because we need to talk to y'all separate. I know it sounds mean, but it's really not.
Police will now compare stories, and unlike the twins, they're far from identical.
Cindy was abused her whole life and raped before she turned 10. By the time she was 15, her rap sheet included theft, burglary, drug abuse, and assault. Shirley also had a similar disruptive past. Her own father, uncle, and paternal grandfather had sexually abused her from the time she was an infant. By the time she was 6, she ran away from home several times until eventually authorities took notice and her father was arrested for the abuse. After he was convicted, she was sent into various foster homes and detention centers. After meeting only 8 hours before at a bus stop, the girls bonded over their mutual life circumstances and decided they would run away together. They spent time hatching a plan, which involved killing a stranger, then stealing their car. Both girls dyed their hair as a feeble attempt at disguising themselves and went around Cindy's old neighborhood, Auburn Greens in California. They began knocking on doors, and while the majority didn't let them inside their home, finally, one elderly woman did. Anna Brackett, an 85-year-old with grandkids of her own, allowed them in. The girls asked to use the phone, and they chatted with the victim for about an hour. At some point, Anna answered a phone call from her son, who was en route to drive her off to a bingo game. Knowing they had little time, the girls attacked. Cindy grabbed a knife, tossed it to Shirley, who immediately began stabbing Brackett in the back over and over again. Anna begged for her life, but the girls kept going until she was dead. After the kill, the girls ransacked the place, looked for cash, and grabbed 2 keys from the counter. The keys they took were the wrong ones for the 1970 Dodge in the garage, and so the girls ran on foot near Highway 49. Oddly enough, Carl Brackett, the son of the victim, saw the 2 girls while he was on his way to his mother's home. Once he got there, he discovered the grisly scene. Eyewitnesses eventually came forward, which led to the girls becoming suspects. Once confronted by police, Shirley immediately admitted to the crime, while Cindy didn't say anything. During interrogation, Cindy was confronted with Shirley's confession, and she began to laugh. She then said, "To honestly tell you the truth, we didn't feel any badness. Then after we did it, we wanted to do another one. We just wanted to kill someone, just for fun." Both girls were convicted of the crime, with Cindy serving the maximum of 9 years for a juvenile. She was then paroled in 1992 and has had no further run-ins with the law. As for Wolf, she was freed on June 30th, 1995, and has been arrested several